Why do we keep checking out those glossy magazine horoscopes, even though they're kind of wrong at least half of the time? Well, I've been wondering about that for a very long time, and today I think we found the answer. Hey everyone, my name is Martin Lindstrom. I'm the author of Biology, Truth and Lies About Why We Buy. And with me, I have the wonderful Liza Donnelly. You may not recall Liza's name, but you for sure have seen her illustrations in the New Yorker, at the Oscars, the Emmys, or early morning on CBS. Hi Liza, so we're back again. This time we have to go to the stars. Now tell me one thing, are you a hopeful person?
I think I am, Martin. But I realized a little while ago that you can be intentionally hopeful. It's use whatever tools you need to get there. But it's something you can choose to do, and it's wonderful.
Liza, tell me, do you look at horoscopes?
I do, and not regularly, but I do like to look at them. I kind of like the philosophical nature of horoscopes. They make you think differently. They sometimes make you look at the big picture, not just the daily grind. So yeah, I like them.
I had to tell you, even though I always do a deal with myself, I shouldn't look at them in those magazines. I don't know why, I'm still looking at them every time, right? Talk about being silly here, right? Kelly, welcome on the Newsweek show. I mean, it's such a pleasure to have you here. You invented astrology.com and put astrology on everyone's lips back in the 90s and in the 2000s. And ever since, you've been on the forefront of new ways of adopting astrology into our lives, right? I guess there is no better person on planet Earth than to ask you a couple of questions about this topic. I mean, one of them is that 29% of the American population believe in astrology. What makes astrology so attractive that 1/3 of the US population swears by it?
I think people believe in it because it gives us hope. It's comforting to know that there's something that we're part of that's much bigger than ourselves. You know, life can be really challenging and there's a lot of personal responsibilities, Martin, especially with what's going on this year, last year. You know, we want to look outside of ourselves for hope. And I think you once said hope is a bridge between what you have and what you want to have. And I remember you saying that, and it was just absolutely incredible. And the people that don't believe in it, I don't think they fully don't believe in it. I think there's just, things are black or white. And if there's nothing there that can't be proven in black or white terms, then it mustn't be true.
It's fascinating what you're saying because an increasing number of studies shows that 85% of everything we do every day is subconscious. Everything from knocking on wood, and this is my favorite. Have you ever tried that you grab your remote control and it's flat for batteries? So you press extra hard to squeeze the last drop of batteries out of it? Talk about being irrational. You know what I mean?
I know. I just went through that recently.
It's kind of ironic. Most people would claim that they're deeply rational, right? Yet I guess most of us have tried falling in love, talking about turning irrational. So we are deeply irrational in most of the stuff we do. And of course, horoscopes falls into this category. Take me back in time. When did astrology gain traction in our modern times?
1930, with the birth of Princess Margaret, who was the Queen's sister, and one of the newspapers in the UK had approached an astrologer and said, "What sort of column can you do?" And so this astrologer came up with a daily horoscope, and that's how it all came about. Daily horoscopes or astrology became popularized in the UK through the newspaper. And then, of course, as the internet was born, and it spread across the world, and as the internet was born, and then, it became even more popular through the internet.
This is addictive, right?
Absolutely. I have said that so many times over the years. It's incredibly addictive. And look at me. It started off, we all start off wanting to know what our sign is and the characteristics of our zodiac sign. And then it leads you, one thing leads to another. And here I am decades later as a professional astrologer. So yes, it's addictive.
It seems like people were smarter back then. I mean, a lot of iconic people throughout history have used astrology. I can't stop thinking about Queen Elizabeth I, where John Dee was her astrologist, right?
Yes, John Dee was her astrologer. Yes, famous.
And he guided her in all her directions, right?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And then Shakespeare were next in line. And in newer times, we have J.P. Morgan. What was his quote?
J.P. Morgan is famously known as saying, millionaires don't use astrologers, billionaires do.
And he was able to promote astrology without being seen as a madman. So how come, since J.P. Morgan embraced astrology, that only 29% of the US population believes in it? I mean, here we are, a billionaire confirming black on white that it actually creates his fortune.
I think it's because there's, in the scientific world, things are factual and proven, or black and white, whereas astrology is very hard to categorize, and there's no hard, tangible proof of it. But we have been using it throughout history for thousands and thousands of years. So it has been around. Humankind has used astrology from the very beginning. We've found the moon phases were marked on bone, so it goes back a very long time. We've always used it.
Now, Kelly, this leads me to the Newsweek question. Why do we keep checking those glossy magazine horoscopes, even though they are wrong at least half of the time?
It's a little bit of magic. It's a little bit of mysticism. There's a term called magical thinking, which helps us correlate events to get to where we want to go. What seemingly disconnected events, put those together. And it gives hope. As I used your quote before, it's hope. It's what we want to have. It's where we want to go. And, people will view it as entertainment, talk about it with their friends, but will apply it if it is something that actually resonates. So it provides hope. And, with the horoscopes that I've always done, it's descriptive and then prescriptive. So in other words, even though you might be going through a tough situation, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
A quick guesstimate. How many percent of the horoscopes in those glossy magazines would you say are trustworthy? And how many would you say were as reliable as going to the casino?
I would say with the glossy magazines, they come out usually, they're monthly periodicals. So they come out monthly. And I've noticed that when I've seen the horoscopes in those, they're actually quite right on. But anything else that might be weekly or daily, I have seen too many inaccurate, which is really unfortunate. So it's important to really source, know where the source is and, who the publisher or the magazine is. Yes.
Tell me, do you ever leave home without checking your horoscopes first?
Yes, and it's more for a professional. It's a lot more than just the horoscope too, because astrology. There's so much more to than just your zodiac sign. It's all the planets in all the signs on the date you were born, and then it gets complicated to the time and the place. So I've got to be checking a lot of moving parts constantly, and that's not just for myself. That's for all of the signs and everyone around me. Yes.
Gosh, seriously? I can't stop thinking about my mother, who always complained that she had to spend 45 minutes putting on makeup every morning. With astrology, it kind of sounds like another 45 minutes are added to that ritual. So this illustration is completely different from at least the style I've got to know. What's the thinking behind it?
It is different, although I've done this kind of thing for other medium. As soon as Kelly said the word bridge, I envisioned a bridge, and I like to use that metaphor in my drawings because we're all in our journeys we're using bridges. We're going from one thing to the next so many times, and so I like to use that. And then hope is the metaphorical umbrella that keeps us balanced. So I sometimes like to use this kind of imagery in my drawings to get a message across. So I thought her talking about a bridge and hope was beautiful.
Yes, she's so right. And I had to tell you, after I was listening to Kelly, do you know what? I'm starting to consider actually having my own sort of horoscope laid out. Talk about, being hopeful here, right? Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your insight on astrology. I hope to see you around and give you a real hug. And I guess I'll continue reading those horoscopes in those glossy magazines. Perhaps it's because it takes me on that bridge between hope and what I really want. And yes, I want more of that life while we're still around, right? Thank you, Liza, for your amazing drawings as always. And thanks to all of you watching up there. Hope to see you soon on another Why Do We with Newsweek.